Hello and welcome to our channel. We're going to tell you a story. Sometimes love disappears into silence, sometimes it waits in the shadows of time. But when true love calls your name, it always finds its way back. This is the story of Lena and Adrian, a story of heartbreak, hope, and the miracle of love's return. You came back for me. The first time Lena met Adrian, it felt as though her heart had been waiting all her life for that moment. It wasn't the kind of love that crept in quietly. No, it was instant, like a flame catching dry paper, bright, undeniable, and impossible to ignore. Adrian was tall, with eyes that carried both kindness and mystery. When he smiled, Lena felt as if the world had stopped for a heartbeat, allowing her soul to catch up to his. They met at a charity event, both there for different reasons but drawn together by the same invisible thread. He was gentle when he spoke, yet passionate when he shared his dreams. She was shy at first, but with him, words flowed like music. It didn't take long for their lives to intertwine. Soon, evenings were spent walking hand in hand under the city lights, mornings filled with messages that made Lena's heart flutter, and nights spent whispering promises neither wanted to break. Adrian would often tell her, "One day, Lena, I'll wake up every morning with you beside me, and that day will be the happiest of my life." She would laugh softly, pressing her head against his shoulder. "And I'll remind you every day how much I love you, so you never forget." They believed nothing could tear them apart. But life, cruel and unpredictable, had other plans. It was a rainy night when Lena's world collapsed. Adrian had been driving home from work, humming the song that always reminded him of her, when a speeding truck skidded on the slick road. The crash was sudden, merciless, and unforgiving. By the time Lena reached the hospital, her hands trembling, her eyes swollen with fear, Adrian was already in intensive care. Machines beeped steadily, breathing for him, keeping his fragile life tethered to the earth. "Severe head trauma," the doctor explained, his voice grave but calm. "He's in a coma. We don't know when or if he will wake." The words cut through her like a blade. She stood beside his bed, staring at his pale face, his closed eyes that once looked at her as if she were his entire world. She reached for his hand, whispering through her tears, "Adrian, it's me. It's Lena. Please, come back." Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Every day, Lena sat by his side, holding his hand, telling him stories, laughing through tears as she reminded him of all the silly moments they had shared. She brought his favorite cologne and sprayed it around the room, hoping the scent might stir a memory. She read his journals, recited his dreams aloud, even sang their song quietly, her voice breaking. But Adrian never stirred. His chest rose and fell with the rhythm of the machines. His lips never spoke her name. Family worried. Her friends whispered. "Lena, you're young," her mother said gently one evening. "You can't pause your life forever. What if he never wakes up?" But Lena refused to listen. Her heart wouldn't allow her to let go. "He'll wake up," she said firmly, though tears betrayed her strength. "He promised me forever. I'll wait, no matter how long it takes." And she waited. Every morning, she brought fresh flowers. Every evening, she kissed his forehead and whispered, "Good night, my love." The nurses admired her devotion, calling her the girl who believed in miracles. But inside, Lena was breaking. One night, after nearly a year had passed, she sat by his side in silence. The hospital room was dim, the air heavy with the scent of antiseptic and wilted roses. She held his hand as always, but this time, she didn't speak. She simply closed her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks, and whispered, "I don't know if you can hear me anymore, Adrian, but I love you. I love you so much it hurts." And for the first time, she left without saying when she would come back. The next weeks were torture. Lena tried to continue her life. She enrolled in classes again, tried to go out with friends, tried to smile when people made jokes. But no matter what she did, Adrian's face haunted her. His silence echoed in her heart like an unanswered prayer. She'd wake at night, gasping, dreaming of him calling her name. She would walk past the cafe where they used to sit together, and the emptiness of the seat across from her would nearly crush her. She wrote letters she never sent, love notes folded and hidden away, filled with words like "I miss you" and "please come back." Her heart ached, but the weight of hopelessness grew heavier. Everyone told her it was time to let go, but letting go felt like betraying the very essence of love. And yet, one evening, unable to bear the sight of his lifeless body any longer, she packed a small bag and left the city. She thought distance might heal her, but instead, it only deepened her longing. Meanwhile, in the stillness of the hospital room, something began to change. Adrian's fingers twitched. At first, the nurses thought it was nothing, just a reflex. But then came the faintest sound, a broken whisper barely audible, but enough to make them freeze in shock. It was a name. Lena. His lips moved again, weak but certain. His eyes fluttered, struggling against the weight of unconsciousness. His chest rose in a gasp, and slowly, painfully, he opened his eyes. Confused, disoriented, but alive. When the doctor rushed in, Adrian could barely speak, but one thing was clear: his first word, his only word, was her name. Lena. He didn't remember the accident. He didn't remember the months of silence. But he remembered her. The memory of Lena's laughter, her tears, her love, it had anchored him, pulled him back from the shadows. She was here, he whispered hoarsely. Where is she? But when they told him she had stopped coming, that she hadn't visited in weeks, his heart sank. Still weak, barely able to sit up, Adrian held on to the only truth he knew: he had to find her. Because love, even lost in silence, had given him the strength to return. Adrian's recovery was slow, but his heart refused to rest. The doctors wanted him to remain in the hospital for weeks, maybe months, but Adrian could only think of one thing: Lena. She kept me alive, he told the nurse one night, his voice raspy but full of quiet conviction. I could hear her, every word, every tear, every prayer. She waited for me. I need to see her. The nurse smiled softly. She loved you more than anyone I've ever seen. But she hasn't been here for a while. That truth pierced him like a blade. He couldn't blame her. How long had he been gone? How many days had she begged for a miracle while he lay silent? Yet, he also knew this: Lena was the reason he woke. Her voice, her love, had been the rope he clung to when everything else was dark. The first time he stood again, his legs trembled like a child's. Every step felt like climbing a mountain. But each time he fell, he whispered her name: Lena. And with that, he rose again. Meanwhile, Lena tried to bury her longing in the small town she had fled to. She spent her mornings walking by the river, afternoons teaching children at a local school, evenings staring at the stars that reminded her of Adrian's eyes. Yet she never truly moved on. In her heart, she still belonged to him. She carried his memory like a scar, visible only to her, yet impossible to heal. One quiet evening, as she sat on her porch, a neighbor handed her a newspaper from the city. She flipped through absent-mindedly until a headline caught her eye. Man awakens from year-long coma. Her heart stopped. She read the words trembling, about a man who had survived against all odds, about the first word he spoke after waking. It was a name. Her name. Lena. The paper slipped from her hands. Tears blurred her vision as her heart pounded wildly. He was alive. He had come back. And the first thing he remembered was her. When Adrian was finally strong enough to leave the hospital, his first destination wasn't home, it was her. He didn't know where she had gone, only that she had left the city. But his determination was relentless. He asked friends, traced whispers, followed faint trails until, at last, he reached the small town where she lived. It was evening when he arrived, leaning on a cane, his body still fragile but his heart fierce. He walked down the quiet street until he saw her sitting on the porch, staring at the fading sky. For a moment, he didn't move. He simply drank in the sight of her, afraid it was only another dream. Her hair caught the last rays of sunlight, her hands rested in her lap, and though her face carried the weight of sorrow, she was still the most beautiful thing he had ever known. "Lena," he whispered. She froze. Slowly, she turned her head. And when her eyes met his, the world seemed to collapse into silence. She stood, disbelief written all over her face. "Adrian." He took a shaky step forward. "It's me." His voice cracked with emotion. "I came back." In an instant, she ran to him. Her arms wrapped around his fragile frame, her tears soaking his shirt as if she could wash away all the pain with her embrace. He held her tightly, trembling, his heart beating against hers. "You're here," she sobbed. "You're really here. And you came back for me," he whispered into her hair. She pulled away just enough to look at him, her eyes overflowing. She shook her head softly, pressing her forehead to his. "No, Adrian. You came back for me. I lost hope. I thought love had run out of time. But you proved me wrong." They sat together on the porch, her hand in his, afraid to let go. Adrian told her everything, how her voice had been the only light in his darkness, how he had fought to hold on because of her. Lena wept as she confessed her guilt, how she had left because she couldn't bear the silence anymore, how she had felt like she was betraying him. "You never betrayed me," he said firmly, squeezing her hand despite his weakness. "Every word you spoke, every tear you shed, I heard them. They were carved into my soul. You didn't give up on me, Lena. You kept me alive." She shook her head, overwhelmed. "I thought I lost you forever." "But you didn't," Adrian whispered. "Love didn't let us go." The following weeks became a second chance. Adrian stayed in the little town with her, where life was simple but filled with laughter. He walked with her by the river, slower now, but with more gratitude for every step. They cooked together, shared quiet mornings, and rediscovered the joy of just being near each other. Every glance, every touch, every word carried new weight, because they had learned how fragile time could be. One evening, as the stars glimmered above them, Adrian took her hand and kissed it gently. "I don't know how many days we'll have, Lena. But I do know this, every one of them, I want with you." Tears filled her eyes, but this time, they were not from sorrow. She smiled through them, leaning against him. "Then every one of them, you'll have me." Oh, the story that seemed to end in tragedy was reborn in love. They had been separated by silence, tested by time, but reunited by something stronger than both, faith in each other. As Adrian held her close one night, he whispered again, "You came back for me." Lena smiled softly, brushing her lips against his. "No, love, you came back for me." And in that moment, they both knew it didn't matter who returned for whom. What mattered was that love had brought them home to each other, against all odds, and this time, they would not let it slip away. I hope you enjoyed this story. Have you ever experienced? Share your stories with us in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories and adventures. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.